Why do expats leave Mexico?
Jerry Brown here with Jerry Brown Travels.
Lori here.
Well, this video is going to be why do expats leave Mexico?
The language is very difficult to communicate with, the local people or the neighbor, because when you don't speak Spanish, it's a little bit hard to, communicate.
Yeah, and especially like if you're going shopping or if you're trying to have somebody come in your house and do services like, say, an electrician or a contractor or a plumber, or maybe the gardener, and you want to communicate what you want to have done, and communication drops down.
If we come like a pair, like a husband and wife, one of the spouses pass away because they're getting old, and then the other spouse get lonely.
Yeah.
And then that's why they want to move back to the family, to the kid, the children, or friend back in United States or Canada or anywhere where they come from. So why they leave Mexico.
Yeah, another thing is that single people, they come down and they expect maybe they're going to meet somebody, and they don't, and they get lonely and depressed, and so they want to go back to their country. So that's another reason that people do leave Mexico. Well, a lot of times people, when they come down, they don't plan properly, and so they haven't planned for medical. And they may come at a younger age where their medical isn't as important, but as they age here, then the medication and the doctor's appointments increase, and so they haven't planned well for their medication and their doctor bills. In the same area of medication and communication, if they are trying to get on the Mexican insurance, well, in those particular cases, you're going to need to speak Spanish, because typically in that system, it's Spanish doctors, Mexican doctors, and so you're going to need to speak the language. They get frustrated about that. They don't have the proper medical insurance here. They can't afford to pay for their medical bills out of pocket, so then they go back to the country that they can get assistance, maybe by family members, or in the case of Americans, you can get Medicare.
The other thing is you didn't have enough social interest.
Yeah, so there's a lot of things to do in our particular part of Mexico, but other parts where people live, they don't have the social activities that are here. Or if a person is an introvert and they feel uncomfortable meeting other people, well, then they stay in their home, they get lonely. And so loneliness is a big part of why people move back to their country, because they feel more comfortable about being with family, the freedom of just speaking, freely without the hassle of the language. So now in the area of activities, physical activities, that is. So in our area, we have hiking, we have kayaking, we have biking, we have walking groups. In that area, there's a pickleball that's real popular here. So it's somewhat of a limited amount of activities. And if you're really active and you want to belong to active groups where they're, say when we used to live in Hawaii, we belonged to groups where we ran marathons. And so they'd be like 100 people that would participate in that. That was a lot of fun. But here we don't have that. In other parts of Mexico, they don't even have what we have here. So there's not enough activities sometimes in an area, so they want to be more active, and they feel, hey, let me go back to my country because that's going to give me more choices of activities, physical activities.
I want to add the other thing. If you was old, elderly, you cannot go hiking, right? And you cannot play pickleball, and it's not enough place for you to go for, like do some activities. Here it's not a wheelchair friendly.
Oh, yeah.
So that's why, they move back to their home, to the family, because it's very easy for them because they have wheelchair access. Here, no.
Well, as we all age, we get closer to death. And so a lot of times people don't feel comfortable in the country that is not their own country, and that they don't want to die away from their own home country. The burials, maybe they already have burial sites set up there in their country, and so here in Mexico, they'd have to go through all of that. So they want to leave because they're afraid they don't want to die in Mexico. One of the other challenges of living in Mexico is that the internet and the infrastructure is not the same as that you're accustomed to in your own country. It's much slower here. The pace is much slower. And that sounds attractive a lot of times, but with that slower pace, everything else is slower too. So they want to get back to their country where they feel more comfortable and have those conveniences that they're used to, that we don't get in living in a foreign country.
Also, I want to add, also if you call the plumber or you call the service to come or the, what do you call, gardener, thing like that, if they say they're going to come at 2 o'clock, you have to wait until 5 o'clock. And a very slow service. But if they come the same day you call, you're very lucky. Otherwise, they will say, maybe mañana. And mañana never gonna come. So we have that kind of experience already. So that's why I want to bring that up. Everything is slow here.
Well, in closing up this little video here, it is frustrating. We've been here for what, 11 years? Almost 11 years. And we even get frustrated, you know, a lot of times when you're out walking around and again, we don't speak the language that well. And so there's a lot of times we have to use our Google interpreters, and that doesn't always work so well. And so they drive differently here in a foreign country, not only in Mexico, but throughout, you know, like Southeast Asia, they drive so much differently. You don't maybe feel comfortable about driving, and you may not feel comfortable about taking the local transportation and the buses. And so it does get frustrating. And a lot of times we just have to say to ourselves, okay, this little bit of frustration, we have to accept, you have to accept it. Because there's so many other benefits that we're enjoying living in another country that we offset it with the frustration. When we just took a trip and we went to California, and it was so easy there. You know, everybody spoke the same language. I understood, you know, the laws. I could read the signs. You know, it just was easy there. In a foreign country, it's not so easy because, you know, unless you really have that experience of speaking their language and reading their language, it does get frustrating. So, but we love Mexico, and also Mexico's not for everybody, is it, Lori?
No, everywhere is not for everybody. You know, if you like that place, you better stay with the place you like it.
You know, we just got back from a trip to Southeast Asia. Okay, and we're always looking for other places that maybe we would like to, you know, spend our years, you know, living in different cultures, because we like living in different cultures. But as we looked around and we saw the challenges there, and then we said, no, let's get back to Mexico. It's not perfect. It's not as easy as living in the States for us, but we accept the challenge, and part of what we enjoy, I guess, is the challenge of living in another country.
Yeah, I agree with that. You know, you have to accept what it is.
Yeah.
And otherwise, you know, you go back the same place, you feel comfortable.
Yeah. So a lot of different reasons. Also, I want to give a shout out and a thank you, and I have to apologize because this video was requested by one of our viewers who gave me actually a list of things to ask, and that's where this thought came. So I thought it was a great idea. Also, we would appreciate if you have any suggestions that you would like us to make videos on. Hey, drop us a little note in YouTube under the comments, and I read those, and we will collect some new ideas. and we'll keep it fresh, especially at this time in 2020. Okay, well, this has been Jerry Brown
and Lori here
with
Jerry Brown Trolling.
Lori is running here to ask you to subscribe. You know it's free. Subscribe, and thank you all of our patron accounts. We appreciate you very much.
Oh, that's scaring me. I have to run. I cannot walk.
Great.
Well, if you haven't subscribed to our YouTube channel, this is an invitation to subscribe. We will send you a weekly notice letting you know a new video is ready for your viewing. It's absolutely free. Check it out.